So we're going to repeat what we did last lesson and this lesson on this quadratic here. We're going to solve it by completing the square. We're going to graph it. Quick thing I will mention now, if you're at home and you want to check any graphing stuff, graphsketch.com, really good website, graphsketch.com. Don't need to install anything, you can just type an equation in, press enter, graphs it for you. Haven't got graphics calculators, you can just check things very easily on there. Okay? Right, so here we go. We are starting with this and we are going to try completing the square. Who can tell me first thing we need to do? Go on. Factorise out the 2. Yeah, if it's not a single x squared here, take the 2 out as a factor. Okay, so there we go. That's the first thing. It's a 0 over there on the right. Good. Last lesson when we were here, what did we do next?
You've done the completed square on the bits in the bracket.
Yeah, so what we do now, we will just work on this bit here. We will temporarily forget about that 2, but we must remember to bring it back again at the end. So, if we're working on this, can anybody remember then, how did we start off working on this? It's like somebody from that table over there. Anybody from over there? Okay? What do we do next? Right, you're getting there, yeah. The last thing you said, you may have said, everything you said may have been right, but I only heard the last bit clearly. So yeah, x plus 2 in bracket squared, okay? Why is that? Because what we do half of what's in that circle goes down here, and we try this. So can you guys multiply that out, well, however you want, using foil, using the grid, however you like, if we can multiply that out, okay? Okay, Emily said the answer a minute ago. If you've done it on the grid, if I can press the right buttons. Okay, there we go. We should be getting x squared plus 4x plus 4. Okay, so that thing there is what we have. But what did we need? Go back to this line up here. We needed x squared plus 4x plus 7 over 2. That's what we want. So what was the next step? When we knew what we had and what we wanted, what was the next thing we did? Yep. Yeah, we needed a fix. How do we get to what we want from what we have? Okay, yeah. 7 over 2. Well, how would 7 over 2 more commonly be written down? Yeah, that's 3.5. That 7.2 is 3.5. What have you got to do to get from positive 4 to positive 3.5? Take off a half, yeah. So minus a half is going to be our fix. Okay? So that will give us what we tried, which was x plus 2 all squared, with that minus a half on the end. Okay?
Do we need to put the equal 0 in?
Yeah, we need to bring a couple of other things back in. At this stage, what should we now then bring back in? Yeah, the 2 we forgot at the beginning needs to come in. That's timesing by the whole lot, and that was equal to 0. So that's the completing the square bit done. So we said we were then going to solve this. Okay, so if we're going to solve this, what would be a good thing to do next to find out what x is? Yeah, divide by 2 first of all. That would be the next thing to do. If you divide that by 2, that 2 goes, 0 divided by 2 is 0, so that 2 just disappears. And we get that. Okay, what would be the next step to do? Somebody from over there? Go on, Emma. Yeah, add a half to both sides, which means that negative a half on the left disappears and appears on the right. Okay, next step. What's the next step?
Square root base
Right, hang on, somebody over here. Olivia, square root next, yeah. Square root both sides. The square goes over here. Over here it's a half square rooted. What do you always need to make sure you write down in that step? The plus and the minus. Yep, okay. Next step. Yep, take 2 off both sides. So I write that minus 2 at the beginning of the right hand side rather than the left. It's just the way that things are normally done. So I have that. So I have 2 answers for x. I have x is negative 2 minus this. Now, rather than writing root 1/2, it's usually written in a different way. What is root of 1? Yeah. So if you square root the top number, you get 1. Square root the bottom number, root 2. So it's often written like that. It's exactly the same thing. So that's one answer. And the other answer will be the same thing with a plus sign in the middle. So those are the 2 answers. So I am just going to write down again now what we had before we started solving it, just so it's on the board and visible. Because the next part of the question is, what will that look like? And I suggest to start with, you do it in bits. Always start with y equals x squared, which you know what it looks like. And just break it down in steps. And the order you do these steps is really important. The next thing to do is say, what is happening to your x, first of all, in my red line? And it's the adding 2 in the bracket. So the next step is just looking at that bit there. I've got a positive 2 inside the bracket. That positive 2 there, what is that doing to the curve? I see lots of people move their hands in the correct direction. Left 2 units, yes. Left 2 units. So, the coordinate of that vertex, and I suggest you write these coordinates down as you go. Coordinate of that vertex, Callum.
Oh, that is minus 2. 0.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. Next thing. Inside the square bracket, we haven't dealt with the negative half that was here, so I'm going to write it out like that next. So I'm introducing that negative a half. Tacked on the end. What does the effect of a negative a half being stuck on the end do? I'm going to give someone who... Go on, can I ask somebody who I think might be Charlotte? It goes down a half. Yes, that's correct. Okay, so it just goes down here. So Charlotte, this vertex's coordinate?
minus 2 minus.
Yep, that's right. Okay. Next thing that I need to do, comparing it with the red line, which is at the top of the board now, but I'm going to have to move out of the way, is going to be what we had a minute ago with a big 2 multiplying the whole thing. What will that do to it? Yep. Stretch it vertically. Okay, stretch it vertically. These are not accurate drawings. I'm not expecting accurate drawings. But can you tell me what that vertex will be now? A bit louder. And the other coordinate, the y coordinate? Not minus 2. The x coordinate's minus 2. Minus 1, yeah, okay. That one there has to be twice as far away from naught as it was before. So minus 1. Okay? Right, this is probably a terrible sketch. What other coordinate would often be important? The other important coordinate is often what happens when x equals naught. What happens when x equals naught? And if you substitute x is naught in here, we will get y equals 2 in brackets naught plus 2 squared,
4.
which is 4, take away a half. 4 take away a half is 3.5. Sorry, yeah, thank you for telling me, okay. So, substituting in x is naught, we get 2 squared, which is 4, take away a half, which is 3.5, times by 2, 7. So actually what should have happened here is that would have gone up there and crossed there at 7. Okay, so you can worry about that afterwards. Okay, you can just improve your diagram afterwards. So we've got the vertex there, we'll scrub that bit there out, actually crossed the y-axis at 7. Okay, just going to stop that video there.